I'm Sean Chandler from Sean Chandler Talks About. I want to give a big thank you to Justin for inviting me over here to talk about a movie I used to watch all of the time, Bottle Rocket. So Bottle Rocket is Wes Anderson's debut film, and in it, Luke Wilson plays a character named Anthony who's recently been released from a mental institute, and upon getting out, teams up with his wacky buddy Dignan, played by Owen Wilson, and they decide to go on a crime spree. Along the way, they learn about life, love, friendship, and a bit about themselves too. So that's the general idea of the plot and the themes of the movie, but it's a Wes Anderson film, so you know it's filled with quirkiness, and the general setup does not do justice to the experience of watching the film itself. But before I go into my full thoughts, go ahead and tell us down below in the comments section, what did you think about Bottle Rocket and Wes Anderson's movies in general? And if you like my thoughts on it, head on over to my channel, Sean Chandler Talks About, and go ahead and subscribe over there. I do movie reviews, ranking videos, same sort of stuff you see over on Justin's channel. And also know Justin's going to be going through all of Wes Anderson's movies leading up to Isle of Dogs. He's going to have some guests coming in. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know I'm going to be checking those out and also rewatching through Wes Anderson's movies. With that said, let's start talking about the good. Easily the best thing about this movie for me is the interactions between the characters. Wes Anderson is just a master of crafting these quirky, weird people, getting great actors, whether they're big names or people at the time. Luke Wilson and Owen Wilson were not big names at the time. They were just buddies of Wes Anderson, and crafting the character to their quirky personalities that that actor can bring to the table, and just making this set of characters that you love to see interact with one another. And whether some of it's laugh out loud funny, all of it is interesting, unique, in funny little ways, and the subtlety of the humor that he works into dialogue. And also, what this movie meant a lot to me when I was younger is, even though it's a movie about someone getting out of a mental institute and going on a crime spree and has all this kind of insanity to it, what Wes Anderson is really good at doing and has been good at doing throughout his career is taking the insanity and making it very human, having very relatable emotions through these exotic stories. And so this one's on, guy on a crime spree. And at the same time, it captures a sense of lostness that a lot of people in their 20s have as they're trying to figure out what they're supposed to do with their life, as there's a certain sense of loneliness as we kind of try and find relationships with other people in strange places. At the center of this one, there's a relationship between Luke Wilson and a girl in it that doesn't make a lot of sense on paper, but I can think back to when I was in my 20s, and there was a lot of things I did that were just kind of odd and bizarre, and just trying to find other people to connect with. And Wes Anderson finds a way to do that, kind of take these very real human emotions and tell stories that are wacky and weird that relate on such a personal level. In a lot of ways, this is like the least Wes Anderson movie there is, because it doesn't have the extravagance and weirdness of some of the later ones, but it has his distinct humor to it in the way that he can just capture emotions in these odd scenarios. It's also really neat to see a movie like this that is Wes Anderson's first movie, and it's also super early in the careers of Luke Wilson and Owen Wilson. This is before they started getting roles in Armageddon and X-Files and becoming leading men themselves. And so you're seeing them at early stages in their career and watching them become the stars that they would later become. It's also packed with a ton of humor. Wes Anderson's kind of quotable little lines in there.
And my name's Dignan, man.
You in the army, yes?
No, I just had short hair.
Throughout the entire thing, weird scenarios like it's a crime spree movie, so they're on all these heists, and they're all really funny heists. As you realize what's happening, you think they're doing something extravagant, and then you go, oh, these guys are kind of morons and idiots.
Just do exactly as I say. Let's move, come on! Get one of those bags. A bigger one, you idiot! What do you think?
Don't call me an idiot, you punk.
Do you have bigger bags for atlases or dictionaries?
Just makes for a really fun adventure to go on with them as they go through life and their stupidity. And it's also really nice to see James Caan show up in the movie in a role that's very much James Caan and also kind of different from his usual stuff in that it's got that Wes Anderson quirk to it, so it's a lot of fun to see him show up in this one. With that said, let's move on to the mixed aspects of this film. And the big thing that kind of stuck out to me is that the nature of the characters in it, you either love them or they're going to drive you insane and stress you out. So I watched this movie with my wife, and she really didn't like it. I know we've watched it before, but rewatching it a couple days ago, she really didn't like it. And it's because the characters are so dumb and so out there and clueless and left field that it can stress you out if you're a certain type of personality, and it'd be very annoying. and they're that types of characters that you're watching it like, no, stop talking. And you will either find that really funny or you will find it incredibly aggravating. Also, because it's such a character-based movie, it's not like the plot to it is very simplistic. It's kind of more like a series of events happen involving some of these heists and the people that they interact with, but it's not like there's a very clear obstacle objective that you see at the beginning of the movie that's obtained at the end of it. So for some people, they could find it pretty unsatisfying as you get to the end of the film because it's just so character-based as you watch them on these journeys of them discovering who they're supposed to be. It's a very specific type of storytelling. I don't really have any specific negatives about this movie, just kind of the mixed stuff I just talked about. At the same time, though, it's a movie that rewatching it now that I'm in my 30s didn't hit me the way it did when I watched it back when I was in my teens and in my 20s. It was a movie that I watched it now, I was like, that was good. I really enjoyed that. That was quirky and interesting, but it's not the sort of movie that I'd want to rewatch as frequently as some of Wes Anderson's other films. When I was younger, when I was in the phase of life that this movie's exploring, I watched it all the time and really resonated with me. Now it was more like, that was a quirky little interesting film. So with that in mind, this is a movie I would give a B score right now. Very enjoyable, very solid effort, and it's not trying to hit a home run, it's trying to get a single, a double, and it absolutely delivers on the movie it's trying to do. And on an entertainment level, I'd give this one a 7.5 for me. Definitely some solid laughs in there, some interesting sorts of ideas, resonates emotionally with you, while not necessarily knocking it out of the fence or kind of stirring my emotions on the level to which some of his later films were able to do. Anyway, that's my take on it. How about you guys? What did you think about it? Tell us down below in the comment section. Also, like I said, if you like my thoughts on movies, head on over to my channel at SeanChandler Talks About, and also remember to return back to Justin's channel as he's going to go through all of Wes Anderson's movies with his friends and his guests leading up to Isle of Dogs. I know I'm excited about it. Hopefully I'll see you guys down in the comment sections on the video.